Hi everybody. Today we are going to learn about agents of pollination. Agents of pollination from the chapter Reproduction in Flowering Plants. So already we have studied about the other topics in the previous chapter, in the previous class. So today we are going to discuss about the agents of pollination. And we know that the agents of pollination are of two types. We can broadly classify them into two types. The first type is called as abiotic. Abiotic means what? Non-living agents. The agents which are non-living like wind and water are called as abiotic. Wind pollination, if the wind is involved in pollination, it is called as anemophily. It is called as anemophily. If the pollination is carried out by water, it is called as hydrophily. Okay, it is called as hydrophily. So pollination can be carried out by non-living things like wind and water. Wind and water. And at the same time, even the living things are involved in the process of pollination. So there are living things which will be acting as the agents to carry the pollen grains for pollination process. So such are called as what? Biotic. Biotic means animals, even the lower animals also. We simply sometimes or most of the times we also say it as zoophily. Okay, animals, zoophily we call it as. So here biotic, living things that are involved in the process of pollination. So they are acting, living organisms are acting as the agents to bring up pollination, like insects. If the pollination is taking place by insects, we also call it as what? Entomophily. Another word is entomophily. And if there are birds also will be involved in pollination process. They are acting as the agents. It is called as what? Ornithophily we call it as. Bats also will be participating in the process of pollination. They are acting as the agents. It is called as chiropterophily. It is called as chiropterophily. And even the snails also help in the process of pollination. They are acting as the agents, which we call it as malacophily. And even the ants are also involved in the process of pollination, which we call it as myrmecophily. So here we have seen now what are the agents of pollination and what are the types of pollination. What are the agents? They are abiotic and biotic agents. What are the types of pollination? Means in abiotic they are wind and water pollination. Wind pollination is called as anemophily and water pollination is called as hydrophily. Whereas biotic means the living things which are involved in behaving as the agents for pollination, and these are the animals which can also be called as the zoophily, like insects, entomophily, birds, ornithophily, bats, chiropterophily, snails, malacophily, and myrmecophily. So all these are involved in the process of pollination. So here we are going to discuss about the abiotic, that is non-living agents which are involved in the process of pollination. So what are they? We said wind pollination and water pollination. And first thing that we have to remember is that very less number of plants will be using for going for abiotic pollination, which means very less number of plants will be going for wind pollination and water pollination. Majority of the plants will be going for biotic agents, for pollination. So here you have to remember very less number of plants will be going for abiotic agents as for pollination, which means wind and water pollination will be taking place very less in the plants. Among these wind pollination is more. Okay, more number of plants will be going for what pollination in the abiotic agents? It is wind pollination. So most of the plants will be going for wind pollination. So here, either it is the wind or the water pollination that is taking place. Here there are very less chances for pollination. There are very less chances of pollination, which means, say suppose if this is the stigma, and here if it is the anther, okay, less chances of pollen grains are there for these pollen grains to come and fall on the stigma. So chances are very less in wind and water pollination for the pollen grains to come and fall on the stigma. So that's why the plants which are undergoing the pollination by using the abiotic agents have to produce many number of pollen grains. Why? Because what we have to remember, there are less chances of what? The pollen grains to reach the stigma. There are less chances of pollen grains to reach the stigma. So these are the pollen grains we are saying. So pollen grains will be having less chances of reaching to the stigma. So that's why more number of pollen grains will be produced. More number of pollen grains will be produced to reach the stigma, to involve in the process of pollination, to involve in the process of pollination. So here we are saying that more number of pollen grains will be produced from the anther because there are less chances of reaching the stigma, and as well as the stigma or the ovary will be having only one ovule. In very simple, we can say that the number of pollen grains are more than the number of ovules that are produced in the agents of when the pollination is taking place by abiotic factors. When the pollination is taking place by abiotic factors, it will be more number of pollen grains that are produced than the number of ovules. And here if you are seeing wind and water pollination, wind pollination is more common or very familiar. More plants, those which are undergoing abiotic pollination by abiotic agents, they will be preferring more wind pollination. So wind pollination is more popular among these two, wind and water. Which is more popular means it is wind. So most of the plants will be preferring for wind pollination. So that is also one very important point that we have to keep in mind. So if they are going for wind pollination, what are the characteristics that these plants should possess? So generally those plants which are going for wind pollination, they will be having very light pollen grains. Okay, light in weight. They are very light in weight. What are light in weight? The pollen grains. The pollen grains will be light in weight. Light in weight, and more pollen grains are produced. More pollen grains are produced. More pollen grains are produced, and these pollen grains are non-sticky. They are non-sticky. They are not attaching, sticking. If they are sticking, what happens? They cannot be moved with the help of the wind. They will be sticked on to everything. So that's why they are non-sticky. And at the same time, if you are looking at this stamen, even this stamen is large. The stamen is large, and it will be coming out from the flower. So suppose if this is the flower, if this is the flower, the stamen will be large, so big or large in size, so that it can easily release the pollen grains into the wind or into the air. At the same time, the other part, if you are looking at the pistil, if you are looking at the pistil will be feathery. It will be large and feathery. Why it is large and feathery? So that it can collect those pollen grains which are falling from the anther, that is stamen. So all the pollen grains that are released from the stamen will be falling on the pistil, and this pistil is large in size and feathery. This pistil will be large and it is feathery, so that easily it can collect what? The pollen grains. The best example in this is, see, we can go for the best example here is the best example is corn cob. Corn cob, where its tassels we say. Tassels means what? The stigma and style of the pistil. The stigma and style will be very long, waving in the wind. When it is waving in the wind, it can easily collect these pollen grains that are falling. And at the same time, those plants which are going for wind pollination will be, if they are small, generally these flowers will be large we say, but if they are small, they are arranged as a cluster in the inflorescence. They are found as group. They are found as group as one cluster, so that it is easy for the pollination to take place by wind. So these are some points that we have to keep in mind when we talk about the abiotic agents of pollination. And in this, what is more common is wind pollination is more common, and in which we said that the pollen grains and the the pistil are having various characteristics. And the best example that we are seeing is corn crop. Okay, the best example is corn crop. So now we said that pollination by wind is very popular. In the abiotic agents, wind pollination is more common or very popular. But here we also should know pollination by water. So we said pollination by water or water pollination is hydrophily. Here pollination by water is very rare. Pollination of water is very rare in the plants. There it is limited. Pollination of water is limited to very few number of plants, like about 30 genera only. About only 30 genera will be showing the process of what? Pollination by water. 30 genera. And these 30 genera mostly it consists of monopods. Mostly monopods. But here against this we also should keep another point in our mind. That is what we said in the first point, pollination by water is what? Rare. But there is a point that we have to keep in mind against this. What is that? It is believed that in the lower plants, if you are looking at against this, okay, against the points that we mentioned in these two, okay, against this, it is believed that if you are taking the plants, lower plants, like what are those? Either these algae or the bryophytes, or pteridophytes. If you are taking these plants, okay, compulsorily these plants require water as the transport. Of what? In all these we say that water is very essential. For what? Transport of male gametes. So here we should keep this point in mind. Even though we are saying that pollination by water is rare, pollination by water is rare, and it is limited to 30 genera, mostly consisting of what? Monopods. But this we are going against these 2 points. What we are saying against these two, we are saying that in bryophytes and pteridophytes, water is very essential for transport of male gametes. Especially if you are taking bryophytes and pteridophytes. It is believed that their distribution is limited. The number of these bryophytes and pteridophytes are limited, which means they are very less in number when compared with all the other plants. Why? Because the most important thing is that it is because they need in these two, okay, if you are saying like bryophytes, okay, if you are taking bryophytes and pteridophytes, both of them compulsorily require water for fertilization. These two compulsorily they require what? Water for fertilization. So that's why we say what we are saying. Bryophytes and pteridophytes are limited in their distribution. Why they are limited in their distribution? It is because what is important for them? Water is required for fertilization. So some of the examples of water pollinated, if you are seeing for water pollinated plants, the best thing we take it here is Vallisneria. Vallisneria is the best one for water pollinated plants. And the other one is very common one is Hydrilla. These two are freshwater plants. They will be growing in freshwater. But there are also other plants which will be going for water pollination. And the third one we can say is Zostera. It is a seagrass. As soon as we say that it is a seagrass, we can say that it is a marine plant. It is a seagrass, so it will be a marine plant. So here we are taking the best examples of water pollinated plants are Vallisneria, Hydrilla, which are freshwater plants, and Zostera, which is a seagrass. It is a marine water plant. And here perhaps we have to remember, all the aquatic plants will not undergo water pollination. That is very important. We should not get confused. If they are present in the water, it means that they will be going for water pollination. All the aquatic plants will not undergo water pollination. Like if you are seeing some exceptions, okay, some exceptions if you are seeing and quoting their examples. The best example is the water hyacinth. Okay, water hyacinth, and another one is water lily. Water lily. These two, even though they are aquatic plants, they will not undergo water pollination. The pollination will not be taking place by water. Why? Because in these two plants, the flowers will be above the surface of water. The flowers will be coming above the surface of water, and these two, even though they are called as aquatic plants, they will be going for pollination. They will be going for pollination, which will be taking place by insects. By insects. Is it clear? So that's what we have to remember. So here what we are saying, the exceptions are what? Water hyacinth and water lily. The flowers are above the surface of the water, and that's why water is not used for pollination process. So how the pollination is taking place in these plants? It is by insects. And please remember, not only insects, it may be also with the help of wind. Wind also will be helping in the process of pollination in these two plants. Now, if you are taking the example of Vallisneria, it is also known as the tape grass. Vallisneria is also known as the tape grass. Please remember this. Another name, commonly it is called as tape grass. And here, it is a freshwater plant, we said. Here, we are seeing the male plant. So, if you are looking in this picture, in this diagram, this is the male plant. Okay, this is the male plant. And this male plant will be bearing the male flowers. Okay, male flowers. And here is the female plant. Okay, female plant. This is the female plant. Here, very interesting thing is that when it has to undergo pollination, the female plant with its long stalk. So here is the stalk. We can call it as the stalk of this plant. With its long stalk bearing the flower will be coming up onto the surface of the water. With a long stalk, the flower will be coming up onto the surface of the water. When it comes up onto the surface of the water, then the male plant, okay, then it is not compulsory at a time it should happen. It just happens. Like the male plant may be producing the male flowers, and these male flowers will be also coming onto the surface of water. These male flowers are there on the surface of the water. Here is the male flower. Here is the male flower. So when the male flower comes, having the ripened anthers, now they are the pollen grains now. They are well matured. Ripened anthers means they are matured anthers, and these anthers are now there coming very close to what? The stigma. Okay, it will come very close to the stigma. So when it comes very close to the stigma, now there are chances for what? These pollen grains to fall on the stigma of the female flower. So as soon as it collects these pollen grains, immediately the long stalk that with which this flower is connected will again pull it back down into the water. So this is how, in a very interesting way, the pollination will be taking place in the plant called as Vallisneria. The plant called as Vallisneria. But in the case of Zostera, if you are taking the Zostera, please remember that in the case of Zostera, the pollen grains or the flowers will be releasing the flowers will be releasing these male pollen grains within the water, in the submerged water. They will not be coming on top of the surface of the water as we have seen in the Vallisneria. It is taking place inside the water. Within submerged conditions only, the pollen grains will be carried on. But either it is in the Vallisneria or in the Hydrilla or in the Zostera, the pollen grains are carried passively by passive current of water. Passive currents of water. Passively only. Passively these pollen grains will be carried on and the process will be taking place. Very, very important point is that when these pollen grains that are released are covered, this is a very important point we have to remember, the pollen grains are covered by mucilaginous sheath. They are covered by mucilaginous sheath. Okay, mucilaginous sheath, which means that the pollen grains will not be completely getting filled with water because there is a coating around the pollen grains what consisting of mucilaginous. It will not absorb more water because they are coated with the mucilaginous sheath. And these flowers which are showing pollination through water, they will not be much colorful. They will not be much colorful or attractive. They are not colorful and they are not attractive. So these points we have to keep in mind when we are talking about the agents of pollination. The best examples as we quoted here are Vallisneria, Hydrilla and Zostera. Exceptions, those which we should not get confused is water hyacinth and water lily. They are aquatic plants, but they will not show pollination by water. They are going for pollination by insects or either by wind. So now, if you are looking at the biotic agents, we have to remember that majority of the flowering plants will be going for pollination by biotic agents only. Already we said that it includes various types of animals. So what are these animals or all those organisms that are coming under biotic agents? They can be insects like bees, butterflies, flies, beetles, wasps, ants, moths, birds like sunbirds. Common ones are sunbirds and hummingbirds and bats. These are most common pollinating agents. Like if you are looking at 1 to 9, okay, these are most common pollinating agents which will be involved in the process of pollination. And they also identified that there are some other animals which are helping or involved in the process of pollination, biotic agents like lemurs. These are the primates. They are also involved in the process of pollination. Arboreal means what? Tree dwelling. They spend most of their time on the trees only. So they are called as arboreal, tree dwelling rodents. Tree dwelling and they are rodents. Arboreal rodents we are calling. And reptiles are also have been identified that they are participating in the process of pollination, like gecko lizard and common garden lizard. Gecko lizard and garden lizard are also involved, identified that they are participating in the process of pollination. So here what we said, 1 to 9, all these are common pollinating agents, and these are also been 10, 11, 12. These are also been identified as the pollinating agents. But here, very important thing, among all these biotic agents, particularly we have to remember that insects are the most important ones that will be helping in the process of pollination. Insects are the ones which will be helping in the process of pollination. They are the dominating agents of pollination. Insects are dominating agents of pollination. Among insects, what is the best one that is involved in pollination means we have to prefer or we will be going for bees. This is important again. So which are the ones, which insect is dominating pollinating agent means it is the bees. Bees are dominating pollinating agents in the biotic agents if you are discussing. So here we have to remember bees as the best example in the insects which helps in the process of pollination. So here if you are seeing insect pollinated flowers, we have to remember the first 2 points very important. Like those flowers which are pollinated by the insects, we already said that in biotic agents, insects are the dominating pollinating agents. And in those insects, what is that which is very important means bees. Bees will be playing a crucial role for pollination in the nature. So here the flowers which are pollinated by insects, they will be large in size. Generally they are large in size and they will be very colorful and they produce sweet smell, fragrance, okay, and also they are rich in nectar. So this is one of the characteristics of those flowers. Okay, these are the characteristics of the flowers which are showing in pollination by insects. Like the flowers will be large, they will be colorful, they are fragrant and rich in nectar. But doesn't mean that they will be compulsorily large in size. Or we should not say that only those flowers which are large in size will undergo pollination by insects. Even if they are small also, they will be undergoing insect pollination. But if they are small, the number of flowers are clustered together. Means many flowers will be present as one group will be there. So they are clustered together and conspicuous, means very clearly you can see. So there may be very small in size, but the number of flowers will be more as one group. That is called as clustered. So even though they are small, they will be showing what? Insect pollination. Insect pollination. But here, animals are attracted to flowers by what? Because of the color of the flower and the fragrance of the flower. Mainly, if the animals are attracted towards flowers means it is mainly because of the color and the fragrance that are released from the plant flowers. And especially if you are looking at the beetles and flies, if you are looking at the flies and beetles, there are some flowers which are pollinated by the flies. There are some flowers which are pollinated by the flies and also by the beetles Those flowers generally they secrete foul odors. This foul odor means what? Smell, bad smell. They will produce this. There are some flowers which will produce bad smell, and this bad smell that is produced will be attracting the flies and the beetles. So these flies and beetles are visiting some flowers because those flowers are releasing what? Bad smell, foul odor. So foul odor is released by the flowers to attract what? Flies and beetles. For what purpose? It is for pollination. So here these are some points. Again we have to keep in mind when we talk about insect pollination, and also by how the animals are being attracted and how the flowers are releasing the bad smell just for pollination to take place. So here we have seen how the flowers or the plants are attracting the animals, or otherwise how the flowers are attracting the animals for pollination. For continuous visit of these animals for pollination, to sustain that visit, for continuous visit of these animals for pollination, what the plants or the flowers have to provide for these animals? They have to provide some rewards, we say. Okay, the flowers have to provide some rewards for those animals that are visiting the flowers. Why the animals are visiting the flowers? For pollination. But in order to see that always these animals are visiting the flowers have to provide some rewards. What are those rewards? They have to provide sometimes the nectar. They will be providing the pollen grains. And not only these, nectar and pollen grains are the common rewards that they will be providing for these animals. But apart from this, the plant or the flower will also provide safe place for the insects to lay eggs. This is also very important. And at the same time, to complete its life cycle, of an insect, both for the plant and also for the insect, pollination is very important. So these are some rewards we say. These are some rewards the flowers or the plants will be providing for those animals. Nectar, pollen grains, safe place to lay eggs, and also to complete the life cycle. So here, now when you say this, nectar and pollen grains. Now, how the pollination will be taking place with the help of the animals? When we talk about this, when an insect visits a flower, it will be coated with the pollen grains on its body because of the pollen kit. We already know that if you are taking a pollen grain, say suppose if this is a pollen grain, the pollen grain is having two layers, we say. The pollen grain is having two layers, the outer wall and the inner wall, we say. So here, if it is the outer wall, here we call it as exine of the pollen grain I am talking about. If it is the inner wall, we call it as the intine. So here, the outer wall of the pollen grain, what is this? We are saying it as the pollen grain. So here, when we say that the pollen grain is having the outer wall as the exine and inner wall is intine, during the process of pollination, the wall called as the outer wall, called as the exine, is coated with a chemical structure or chemical substance which we call it as the pollen kit. It is covered with pollen kit. What is this pollen kit? This pollen kit that is present on the on the exile of the pollen grain is yellow. It is yellow, viscous and sticky. It is yellow, viscous and sticky in nature. So it is because of this viscous and sticky in nature, the pollen grains will easily attach onto the body of those animals which are visiting the different flowers. So when these pollen grains stick onto the body of these insects, when the same insect visits another flower, it may drop these pollen grains on the stigma of another flower, and that's how the pollination will be taking place. That's how the pollination will be taking place. But the main concept of why these insects are visiting is, it may be because of nectar, pollen grains, or safe place to lay eggs and to complete the life cycle. But during this period of time, what is happening? The pollen grains which are having the covering called as what? Pollen kit. What is this pollen kit? It is a chemical substance which is yellow, viscous and sticky in nature. Because of this chemical substance, the pollen grains will easily stick onto the body of the insects, and the insects will be carrying these to the other flowers. Is it clear? So here, as we said, the rewards are what? The nectar, pollen grains and safe place to lay eggs and to complete the life cycle. Now if you are taking the safe place to lay eggs, there is one plant, and a very important plant that we have to keep in mind. The name of that flower also called as Amorphophallus. Amorphophallus. This flower is of about 6 feet in height. 6 feet in height. And because of which the insects or the animals, the insects will be showing, okay, a very good advantage for them is that they will be laying the eggs in this flower. They will be laying the eggs in this flower. So where this flower is a safe place to lay eggs. It is the tallest flower we say. It is a safe place to lay eggs. And another one is, if you are seeing another example, okay, if you are seeing another example, the second example if you are seeing, there is another example called as moth, an insect, and there is another plant called as yucca plant, okay, yucca plant. These two cannot complete their life cycles without being together, It means if the moth is not visiting the yucca plant, it cannot complete its life cycle. And here, please remember one thing. You may get doubt now why it is only moth. The pollination can take place with other insects. But here we have to remember one point is that most of the plants will be showing one particular characteristic. They will be adapted to certain type of animals where only with those animals they will involve in the process of pollination. Which means in simple, there will be one particular animal pollinating one particular flower. That will become very close relationship with the plant, flowers and that particular insect. So the same thing we are applying here. That moth and yucca plant moth insect and the yucca plant cannot complete their life cycles if they are separate. Why? Because the moth insect will be visiting the yucca plant, laying the eggs in the locules of the ovary and in the flowers. Moth will be visiting the yucca plant, laying the eggs in the ovary and in the flower, and during which what happens is it is leading to what? Pollination. It helps in the process of pollination because the moth may be visiting many flowers of the yucca plant, and when it visits, this will be carrying what? The pollen grains. So when it visits different flowers, it is helping in the process of pollination, and that's how the yucca plant will get pollinated. Once it gets pollinated, when it starts producing the seeds in the fruit, the larvae of this moth will be coming outside. The larvae of the moth will be coming outside. When the yucca plant in its ovary, or when the ovary is turning up into a fruit and bearing the seeds, from the fruit, the larvae of the moth will be coming outside. So this is how there is a very close relationship between the moth and the yucca to complete their life cycles. Where, again I am repeating, moth is helping for pollination and yucca is providing a place, a safe place for laying of eggs by the moth. And last thing that we have to keep in mind in this video is that there are some insects which are also called as pollen or nectar robbers. Pollen or nectar robbers. What do you mean by pollen or nectar robbers? Those insects which will be going for collecting the pollen or the nectar from the flower, but they will not be involved in the process of pollination. So those insects which do not help in the process of pollination, but they collect the pollen grains or the nectar, are called as what? Pollen or nectar robbers. Thank you so much.